How can I help you, Governor?
They tell me there's going to be an investigation.
For Russ Duritz, time is money.
Stop crying.
I'll try.
No, I mean right now. You're giving me a headache.
An image is everything.
Jerk?
You lousy jerk.
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 If you get called a jerk 4 times in the same day, does that make it true?
What, only 4? Did you get up late?
But in the business of giving advice, he's the one who needs help the most.
There is nothing wrong with me.
Take your phone off. You're with a human now.
Now, on his 40th birthday,
Just when I think I've seen the worst in you, and I get the tiniest glimpse of the kid in you.
he'll get a magical chance to rediscover himself. As Russ Duritz, the man,
I know you.
meets Russ Duritz, the kid.
Are you who I think you are?
Russell Morley Duritz.
How'd you know my name?
I'm dreaming!
I don't think you're dreaming, because you're talking and your eye is sort of twitching.
To be wise, all these things will come to you in time. Oh, this journey that you're making, there'll be answers that you seek. And it's you who climb the mountain, it's you who reach the peak. Some men look to the sky, lift your spirit, set it free. Someday you'll walk toward pride. Some men are made inside your bed. Though there's no one there to guide you, no one to take your hand, but with faith and understanding, you will journey from boy to man. Some men look to the sky, lift your spirit, set it free. Someday you'll walk toward pride. Some men are made inside your being. You will teach, and in teaching you will learn. You'll find your place beside the ones you love. Oh, and all the things you dreamed of, the visions that you saw. Well, the time is drawing near now. It's yours to claim it all. Some men look to the sky, lift your spirit, set it free. Someday you'll walk toward pride. Some men made inside your being. Some men for all to see.
Look at your clothes!
Holy smoke! What do you think, kid?
Am I home? Is it really 1968?
No doubt about it, kid. What time's recess?
10:30.
Hang on, kid. We got 15 minutes. Change our life. Okay, now listen. This is gonna happen real fast. You gotta remember what Kenny told you, all right? 1, 2, 1, 2.
What's you?
Keep your head down. Keep swinging.
I think some films have really unfortunate timing. For example, the underseen classic Joe Somebody, starring Tim Allen, was released shortly after 9/11/2001, and its competition at the box office was the very first Harry Potter, no less. Yeah, that little film was totally screwed! The Kid. Now, that film made far more money at the box office than Joe. But The Kid, much like Joe Somebody, just didn't make a big enough splash at the box office or with the critics to be considered significant by crusted, dusty film historians.
Somebody call the ambulance.
What did you say?
Even in the year 2000, this film was considered too sweet and simple by critics who would become even more jaded by the world-altering event that would take place 1 year later in September of 2001. And that would explain why the film left a very small cultural footprint. I know it kinda seems like I'm talking out of my ass, but I promise, I'm only using ass speak because this film is a true treasure, and I really wondered why so few people are talking about it. I love those videos that the lovely ladies over at The Take create. They break down pop culture media to offer insight into the metaphoric meaning of popular films and shows. Now, I've made videos like that before too, but I promise I was not stealing from them. I mean, if I had seen their videos before I started making these kind of vids last year, I would have stepped things up a notch a lot sooner. Nothing like friendly competition after all. I did notice a common complaint in the comments section of vids like these though. A lot of people acted like they were PO'd because they felt that the videos were claiming these opinions are stated as an absolute fact. And I do disagree with that statement, but I can understand that most of us content creators are probably wrongly assuming that our videos are aware that our explanation of a film's meaning is merely our subjective interpretation. I've rarely seen my fellow YouTube movie nerds truly asserting that their opinions are the only opinions. With that being said though, most of the explanations I've seen from The Take, for example, never seem to stray far from what appears to be the artist's artistic intentions. So maybe they mix explanation with personally meaningful, subjective ruminations that a film or show inspired. I can only say maybe. Maybe, baby. Maybe, baby. That's fun to say, isn't it? Let's just all say that for a second. Maybe, baby. Maybe, baby.
Maybe, baby.
Maybe, baby.
Maybe, baby. Maybe, baby.
I can only say maybe because while that is indeed what my videos are, I can only assume that of my colleagues. And well, you know what assumptions do, don't you?
Maybe, baby.
Don't give me attitude, sir. See, you're assuming I won't shoot your sorry ass, and everyone knows when you make an assumption, you make an ass out of you and umption. Now, I'm Sergeant Madigan Vice, and if you do cop a tooth jerk off, I will see to it you spend the next 10 years in prison getting ass fucked. And if the case is thrown out because my arrest was too violent, I will personally hire men to ass fuck you for the next 10 years. So if you're an ass fucking fan, you go ahead and mouth off. Meanwhile, you're under arrest for the crime of prostitution.
You may be thinking, this video is about a kid's film. That cutaway was totally uncalled for. To that possible thought, I say, it's not really a kid's film. See, kids of 2000 might have enjoyed the flick well enough, but kids of today would be bored to tears. It's a funny and joyful film, but the real fun of the film is seeing it with adult eyes and letting it touch your inner child. Just not in the way that sadly too many young Hollywood performers have been traumatized by. Disney's The Kid is a fantastical comedy made for adults, but most of all, made to unite adults with their inner child. Metaphorically. I mean, if you think your child itself can actually come and say, "What's up? Want to go hang out and chill?" Well, I won't say that's not possible, but I just want to let you know. If you tell others that you're hanging out with your childhood self literally? Well, then more than likely, you're gonna find yourself in a literal white cell with literally padded walls. So it's best to discuss these things metaphorically. Metaphors, after all, are just situations or stories that can relate and aid in understanding an idea, a feeling, or really anything at all. Metaphors are quite wonderful that way. The kids' metaphors are so simple that I think true film buffs might just overthink this one. It'll probably go over most children's heads, but adults, they'll be prone to overthinking it, and also prone to kinda dismissing it altogether, as this kind of story, especially after September 11th, 2001, would be a hard sell to a cynical adult who, ironically, is the film's intended audience. The kid follows successful image consultant Russ Morley, played by the inconsistent these days, but back in 2000, Bruce Willis was consistently, captivatingly charming, and this is quite possibly his best performance. As the film begins, we learn that Russ has a poor relationship with his father, and he treats people horribly, because deep down, he is totally miserable no matter how successful he is. This could be due to something in his past. Perhaps it happened during his childhood. I mean, that's what all the shrinks tell us. You know? That most of the shit that's fucked up with us got fucked sometime in our childhood. Again, sadly. Kinda like most young Hollywood stars! What is sadder is that there are people out there, right now, who are more offended that I made a joke about that terrible reality than they are offended by the reality of that joke, which I find fascinating and depressing all at the same time. Antidepressants, anyone? For those who might be wondering, why joke about that in this video at all? Well, I kinda think it's a valid subject when you're talking about any film featuring a young child actor, and even more so when it's a Disney film, as their history with childhood actors is, well, did you ever wonder what happened to Bobby Driscoll, the kid who voiced Peter Pan?
All it takes is faith and trust, and just a little bit of pixie dust. Here we go!
Answer that new wondrous thought I created? Well, he died alone in an abandoned building where he was later discovered by a couple of lost boys. Isn't it a small world after all? I know, poor taste, but still, funny nonetheless.
Fair enough.
Kids understand how important laughter is. Even if most adults forget, see, it's vital that we laugh at the horrors of the world's cruel realities. Why is it vital? Because those who are aware of them either laugh away the darkness or play Russian roulette with a fully loaded chamber. Kids laugh at fucked up shit all the time. Not because they're evil, but because laughter, metaphorically at least, drives away those dark, evil feelings that make us want to suck off a revolver till it goes blam in our mouth. Okay, I admit that one was not even a little. That was way too far, and I apologize. I'm sorry. Really, you don't. I'm truly sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. But it did make the point pretty clear, didn't it? Moving right along. After a particularly stressful day, Russ meets Rusty, his chubby childhood self, who is played wonderfully by Spencer Breslin, and after coming to grips with the fact that his childhood self has somehow time traveled to the present, Russ, of course, ignorantly assumes it's so he can help reshape his youthful self. But surprise, surprise! Rusty is there to teach Russ how to be a kid again, and to also discover what made him grow up in the first place. While we all need to get smarter and stronger, there is no need for any of us to grow up as we are so often told. Saying grow up does not mean to become a well-rounded human being. What people really mean when they say grow up is grow out of being yourself. Grow into the person I see you as, instead of becoming who you really are. The kid shows what happens when you grow up. You may become successful, but you'll also be a miserable shell of a human being who treats those around them worse than gamers treat pedestrians in Grand Theft Auto. The only solution to being dead inside is to become alive again, and assuming you had a decent early childhood, those were the times we were mostly alive. Mostly. And we can get back to those days by remembering them, ourselves, and what made us stop being ourselves. Which is the story that the kid tells so masterfully. And while some may think it could have used a harder, more adult edge to get its point across to the intended audience, I think that would have lost the point entirely. You can see and feel the point. All from the masterful performance that Bruce Willis gives towards the end of the film, which cemented this performance for me as one of, if not Bruce Willis's best performances. You can see the true childlike glee in his eyes, but most of all, this reaction right here is so genuinely full of childhood wonder and splendor that it gets me every freaking time. See, I didn't even curse that time. It really is that special of a moment. It's easy to fake pain or anger, but faking genuine childlike joy, that is nearly if not truly impossible. I have rarely seen adult actors, especially adult cis male straight white actors, who can possess that kind of glee and excitement for life, but even fewer who can genuinely express themselves as a giddy excited kid. And at one time, in one glorious scene, Bruce Willis did so sublimely. Anytime I need to remind myself how I should feel about life, I just watch this film and find my center. And then, sure enough, I feel like I've won. So I guess becoming a kid is what made a man out of me. Metaphorically anyway, as I still do not conform to standardized norms of any kind, which might make you think I'm some kind of savage. So I'll just let Jonathan Young and Grace Spray take it from here.
You think you want
smoothest chord, steady as the beating drum. Should I marry Coco? Is all my dreaming at an end? Or do you still wait for me, dream giver, just around the river?
We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of dreams.